Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jesse Fragale, and you're listening to Working Capital, the real estate podcast. My returning guests today are Jake and Gino. They need no last names, no introductions. If you've listened to this podcast, you've heard them before. They are real estate investors, coaches, and all around two great guys. Jake and Gino, how's it going?
Doing good, Jesse. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing great now. It's always good to get you guys on the show. There's usually a lot of energy, which is fantastic. And we were just chatting before the show that you guys were episode 3. So, we've made it to roughly 150 episodes here. So really appreciate, the original
You're welcome.
Gs.
You're welcome.
Yeah, there you go. Thanks, Jake. Appreciate it. So before we start, if anybody's living under a rock, any listeners haven't heard of Jake and Gino before, if you guys could do kind of a brief introduction on your backgrounds and yeah, what you guys do in the
Gino,
space.
do you want to do it by song? Do you want to sing it? Because he's always saying that I'm holding down his opera career here. And I'm here to promote it, Gino. You got the Psycho Bunny shirt on. Let it rip if you want to.
You like it? Parla più piano che nessuno sentirà. Actually, Jake and I met. I was the pizza guy, and I should have been singing.
And now he's the opera guy.
And now I'm the opera guy. And we met in 2009, and Jake wanted to do something different. He was selling legal drugs. He was working as a pharmaceutical rep, and he was getting food out of the restaurant. And we've come a long way. We were talking about that the other day. We were taking a nice stroll on the beach, almost holding hands. Not yet, but he looks out.
Sun
and he goes,
was setting. It was beautiful.
We've come a long way since that basement. We started shooting videos in my basement, but I digress. We met in 2009. In 2011, he moves down. He becomes an economic deserter of New York, goes to Knoxville, Tennessee. I honestly didn't know where Knoxville, Tennessee was at the time. New Yorkers don't know anything other than the tri-city, tri-state area. And I'm like, okay, let me whip out the laptop, LoopNet. These things are trading for 30, 40 a door. I mean, replacement. I was blown away by the costs and the income. And so I said, when you get down there, let's start looking at deals down there. And I had bought a couple small deals up in New York, but I really couldn't find success in that market. And took us 18 months for that first deal. Jake's fiance at the time moves down. He stops for a few months. We didn't have buy right, manage right, finance right. We didn't have any of that. I had some mentorship, success with a couple of mentors who were helping me out, but I didn't have that clear path. All I knew is I wanted to buy my first deal. I wanted to get a couple $1,000 a month in passive income, prove the concept. And then from there, see what happens. That's really what we wanted to do. And I think Jake always says it. If we got to 100 units, we'd be like, bro, we are the best, man.
That was the pinnacle. That was the pinnacle.
Kicking ass, So never limit yourself.
2,000 units later, like, hey, man, we're not growing fast enough, Gino. Let's go. So.
Did I miss anything, Jake? I mean, there's been a lot of.
I want to comment a little bit about the move from New York to Tennessee, because I think so many people may be going through the same thing I was at the time. I was working for a top 3 pharmaceutical manufacturer, and when I first started out of college, it was an awesome job, company car, 6-figure salary, very much a sports type competitive environment where it was like, hey, let's go out and make it happen, right? Then all of a sudden, the Sunshine Act comes in, and there's this weird thing that happens around 2010 where you see this merger in the U.S. between big business and government, and they start working very closely together, and it got weird, and it got very bureaucratic. And all of a sudden, I went from a company that had a great organization that was encouraging and positive to, wow, I kind of feel like a bureaucrat, and I'm told to go in and talk like a robot and repeat the thing off the back of the package insert. And it got super weird. So it was almost a self-defense mechanism. I needed to find something else because I knew eventually I wasn't a culture fit anymore for where this was going. And so I needed to continue to survive. And so, I said, look, I don't like the taxes in New York. I don't like the weather in New York. Let's get a fresh start. And I took a lateral transfer at the time just to at least get out of that environment and start to build on my future. And my future was with Gino in the multifamily real estate space, even though I didn't fully realize it at the time. And he was my mentor from that day going forward, because Gino had been investing in apartments. I was looking for that next outlet. So I happened to be in the market, boots on the ground, like many of our students do. They meet somebody that's in a local area that can be an operator. They may be bringing capital. A lot of these things happen. And, we're basically an example of what our community shows day in and day out. I mean, 60,000 units our student community has successfully closed to this point. It's like $5 billion in assets. So it's really just, hey, we set it up early on. We realized that sound multifamily investing is buy right, manage right, and finance right. We wrote about it back in 2015, and we've just demonstrated all the things that we've been doing along the way. We've been able to share that with the folks, and many people have been able to duplicate our results and actually do a lot better, believe it or not, with the numbers. Because, Gino and myself, we've closed on, a little over 2,000 doors, but the student community has taken that framework and totally smoked us. So hats off to everybody in the Jake and Gino community.
Yeah, that's incredible. Well, I got to ask, favorite pizza, Gino?
I like the brick oven pizza, to be honest with you. There's a couple of brick ovens here in Florida. It's a little bit more difficult. I like the thin crust, to be honest. If I had like gun to my head, prosciutto and arugula on top. I mean, that's my favorite right
Jake
there.
strikes me as a Diavolo kind of guy. I don't know.
Hey, man. So you know what's interesting about that? Like, what is it? The Barstool Sports. Give me your Sunday football pizza. I love it. Right. I absolutely love it. And I'm a connoisseur. Yeah. And the problem is it's really hard. I love Knoxville. Tennessee. To find a good slice of that in Knoxville, it's easier to find like a 10 cap. Yeah. All right. Or an 8 cap for the multifamily folks. But I will give a shout out and a dopo. You better give me a rip on the back end of this, because everybody's hearing this. There's a place at Dopo, to Gino's point. There's a brick oven place in Knoxville, and they got this one that's got like the spicy salami on it, and it's just beautiful. So when we go down, it's got the olives on it. It's wonderful. So that's locally, that's where I'm going. And I'll give a shout out to one of my favorite spots up near Poughkeepsie, where we used to live, Antonella's. That's your Sunday football pie right there, and you love me some Antonella's. So.
Beautiful. Well, I gotta say, for those that we're gonna post this on YouTube, for those that are watching right now, somehow 3 years later, you guys look younger. So you're.
Well, Gino's got the Psycho Bunny going. Like he's keeping up with the trends. So
yeah. Well,
it's a testament to doing what you really like. I mean, I'm playing with house money right now. I'm not gonna lie to you. I mean, 10 years ago,
Florida kicking in for him now.
I was struggling 10 years ago. It's true, because I was doing something I didn't like to do. I found my sole purpose. And I think what we all need to do, who are listening on the show, we need to strive to become financially free, to really pay our expenses. And once you do that, I can create Jake and Gino. I can spend my entire week educating and getting on podcasts and mentoring and going to live events and doing all this stuff, because I'm all right. My bills are getting paid by my portfolio. Jake is doing the property management side. I'm doing the education side. That shit will keep you young, because you like what you're doing. I don't know what day of the week it is. If you ask me what the date was today, I have no idea. I really don't, because I wake up every day, Monday through Friday, as MJ DeMarco says.
It's not the 16th, and I said that yesterday, so you're right.
It's not the 16th. It's like the 18th, I think. I don't even know.
Something happens when you go, we're now entering Florida.
But listen, the week though, Jake, it's a Monday through Friday is a human construct. Like, there's no such thing when you're an entrepreneur, when you love what you're doing. I love Mondays just as much as I like Fridays. It doesn't really make a difference, because I love what I'm doing. That's the honest truth. I may not love real estate, like Jake often likes to say this, but I love what real estate has afforded us to do. It's afforded us the lifestyle, and we've actually gotten pretty good at it. And when you get pretty good at something and you continue to get good and better at it, you actually start enjoying doing it.
Yeah, that's a confusing thing when it's like, oh, love what you do and you'll never work a day in your life. I truly love our business and our success that our business brings. And I love what I do in a way that I love being successful in business. And I love the business that we're in. It's just I can't say I'm passionate about multifamily like I am about working out or watching a football game or hanging out with the G-Dad or whatever. So it's different. And I think people get really confused about that. And we were talking to a gentleman the other day about folks that go in to buy businesses, and they try to buy something that they know or like. And it's really, what's your core competency? What are you good at, and where can you insert yourself into that business? That's where the success is going to come from. And that's when you'll start to like it, because it's going to bring you those business rewards and allow the business to grow. And I think the thing that why we may seem happy and jolly, it's because we have clarity in our lives. I didn't always have clarity. When I was with the pharmaceutical company, did not have clarity, but I was searching for it. And even when we started our multifamily business, I did not necessarily have clarity, but as we figured it out, clarity has come. So if you ask me what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to build a well-oiled machine. I'm trying to build a enduring organization that provides quality service and quality homes to our residents. I'm trying to hit a consistent 20% year over year top line revenue growth. I don't need to oh, where am I going? What do you want to do? No, I know exactly what I'm trying to do. I have a 10-year growth plan. I reverse engineered it. I know exactly what my income is going to be over those 10 years if I hit my numbers as we grow. And it's not getting out over your skis, because we've been there where we've been in this like hyper growth mode. Buy. We have a specific parameter set up. If we go over that, great. Don't want to go under it, but it could happen. And so I think that clarity as an entrepreneur will really set you free. Having the control in your life, the freedom to do and use your time as you see fit is huge to someone like myself. I know Gino feels the same way. So yep. Yeah, I mean, to his point, we're playing with house money at this point. It's great.
It's two things. I think first thing, what you mentioned, Jake, is autonomy. If you have autonomy over your life, that's what we all strive. I think happiness is achieved through autonomy. And I think sometimes we confuse happiness with joy. I was at a retreat this weekend, a spiritual retreat this weekend with my wife, and they were talking about being happy always seems as if you need to do the next deal. You need to get 20% growth rate. I'm joyful. I feel joyful because I want to be on the show. I want to be talking. I've talked to Jake 6 times already today. Every time we get on the
sick
phone,
of me at this point. It's a 6 different wardrobe I've had on too. I keep it fresh.
And dude, it's like 6 different conversations. We're doing land. We're doing rehab. We're closing a deal. We're working with a credit union, and that's stressful. But to me, it's joyful. It's in the moment. I like what I'm doing. If we don't close the deal, fine. But I think most of us, and myself included, with the gap and the gain, with Benjamin Hardy wrote, we're always trying to get to that next thing. Let's pause and let's be joyful for what we have, and don't. I think. Always focus on being happy. Always think about getting the next thing. Because when you get that next thing, there's always the next thing. And then there's always the next thing. That's what I struggled with.
It's funny. I got 2 Italian guys on the show here. So I always like contento in Italian, that view of happiness, because that piece of you're saying that's chasing. There's an aspect of that chase that is part of,
chase the freedom.
Yeah. Giving yourself meaning, having to go to the next thing. But the idea that you think you're going to find it there, it's not in the, there's a great book, The Motivation Myth, where it talks about, the fallacy is that we think we are going to find something at the end of that process, where it really is the process where we get that motivation and we get that power and that confidence and competence loop. That's what we build. And you guys are a great example of, and then teaching it. And then that, it even reinforces it further. But to Jake's point, the idea of like working out or for, playing music, or as opposed to writing a purchase and sale agreement, I'm not going to get the same joy out of the purchase and sale agreement. But if you told me I could only play guitar and I didn't have a career and that would be great up to a certain point, but then I would still want some other meaning. So I think it's a good point. And you're right. I think a lot of people do miss that piece, because I always see a weird look on people's face where even in brokerage, if they ask me, do you like what you do? And I say, I love it, just because people are so, it's such a rare thing for somebody to say that. We're like, come on, what do you mean you love it? It's like, yeah, again, writing the reports and writing the offers, that's not what I'm talking about. I love what it represents and what you can achieve through it.
I agree.
Doing deals is fun.
Yeah.
Like
it's different every time.
Yeah. And if you don't get too bent out of shape about it, and you can handle, being in the hot seat, because look, you're going to be between 2 opposing sides, and they're going to try and break you at times. And that's okay. If you don't get too worked up about it and realize it's part of the job and enjoy it. I love it when deals get a little crazy sometimes. It's different now, right? Because if it doesn't work out, okay, it's not the end of the world. Like, probably 10 years ago, I'd be like freaking out. Gino, our life's over. We got to get this deal, right? Because we were trying to get to freedom. But now that we got to freedom, it's different. And it also gives you some abilities and powers that you didn't have back in the day when you were pressing. Yeah. And it gives you the ability to sit back a little bit and not press. And I think that's a huge advantage too. So it's interesting how it kind of changes.
I think the advantage that we have is that we're partners as well. If you can partner up with somebody, Jake gets emotional sometimes. He doesn't like to lose, and
I got a little bit of knee jerk at times. I got
and I'm more detached, right? I'm not in the weeds. I'm not actually talking, so I can sit back and go, maybe we should go back at this. And he's like, I don't really want to. Oh, okay, man, that's a good idea. And the same thing with me. We're trying to work another deal, and he'll propose something. I'm like, I didn't even think of that. Let's do that. So you're having 2 different opposing views, and honestly, we both work really hard. That's what it really comes down to. If you're going to partner with somebody, you got to put in the work. I mean, I just see the work ethic nowadays. No offense. I'm sorry. We're going to crush you. If you're going to come up against us, if you're not going to work, you're dead. So if you're not working at least 40 hours a week, this 4-hour work, you're dead. You're not going to survive in this economy, especially now that we're going into a recession. It's going to get hard, people, but it's okay, because if you put the work and the effort into it, you will get rewarded, because not many people do that.
Yeah.
And especially over a long period of time.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like, I might go hard for a minute. I mean, we're just wired that way. We both are wired to go hard consistently over time. And that's, it's a huge advantage for us. I don't know where that came from. I'm, blessed and very thankful it's there, but yeah.
You could teach your kids, because I worked at the restaurant, and that work ethic came from my parents. And when I'm at the restaurant, 10-hour days were nothing. I was on my feet for 10 hours. I worked on Christmas Eve. I worked on the weekends. Not a big deal. I had a responsibility. I had to feed my family. That's how I learned. So I just transitioned over. So when I got into real estate, guys are like, I'm so tired. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? You're on the phone. You're walking properties. You're not getting burned. You're not getting cursed at. I mean, let's be realistic. It can be difficult, but come on, man. Work on a Christmas Eve when you're, it's a completely different thing.
It's a great point, because I'm just thinking about this now. My average day, it's not that big of a deal for me. It's from 6 a.m. to about 7 p.m. I'll stop in there for dinner. I'll get a workout in. Yeah. But that's the average work day, because that's what it takes, and it doesn't feel like a lot to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the bare minimum to kick ass. Like if we're gonna kick ass and run the organization that we have, that's the bare minimum, and it goes beyond that at times.
Yeah. And
I don't feel like that's a big deal.
But I know your mental shift.
Other people would start to like curl up in a little field position and hide in the corner, but it's like, it's not. Shit's not. I don't know. Maybe it's hard. I don't think it is.
No, I think it's not complicated. Like people, what we do is like, it's not brain surgery, but I think the piece there, Jake, is,
but someone would say you're working a 13-hour day every day.
Yeah,
and Saturdays and Sundays too at times. Not the whole day, but yeah.
Working out's a good example though, because I think I don't know if we talked last time about college sports or whatever it was, but the idea of working out 4 or 5 days a week when you've played sports and you've done it for your whole life, that's just a baseline. We're like, you're going to the gym because you don't even think it's become automated. Where you're 6 to 7, that's just the norm. The idea of you not doing that to you probably would feel a little underwhelming, and maybe a little more than that feels like a longer day. But I think it's a switch that you've probably cultivated that over years, and it's the reality of how you work.
It's also how you set your life up, though. We really systematize our things well. Like I have a gym in my house right here, so if I like to go to the gym, but it's like not there every day. But I can go down here and hit a solid workout in 30 or 40 minutes. And I can do it in my underwear if I want, right? And there's no one there. And it's so that little time pickup, not driving back. We homeschool our kids. We have folks that come in and help us with that, have a nanny. So all those things help to systematize your life, where it's not just systematizing the work, it's also systematizing the life, so things can help balance. So all those things accelerate you. And I think it's very important.
What I find funny about that is, I've had people in the past we're very similar. Like I've had my partner that I've worked with, Jordan, for 7-8 years, and we deal with a lot of companies where there's co-founders, and we find the companies that are most rock solid is when there's co-founders, because it's lonely at the top. We've all heard that, but we have systematized a lot, and you'll get the odd comment where somebody's like, yeah, but isn't that sterile? You don't have any. It's like, no, it's the opposite. I've systematized so much of my life that where I kind of let loose, or whatever, you take vacation or you do different things, that can be fully enjoyed. So to me, it's,
dude, I want it boring. I don't like surprises. Like I really don't. Like, I don't know who we were talking to the other day, but I prefer a boring business that's growing, extremely profitable, and crushing it. It's not always like that. That's what I prefer. I don't like the groundhogs popping their head up and you got to whack-a-mole or whatever the hell they call it. That's when it gets annoying. Like, I don't want to deal with that shit.
So Jake, we talked to the gentleman on Tuesday. His name is Walker Dybel. He wrote the book Buy Then Build. Great book. I think everyone needs to read that book. He calls himself an acquisition entrepreneur, and I love it because he talks about buying businesses, but it's very similar to buying real estate. And the quote that he used in the book is buy for the future and pay for the past, which we haven't been able to do for the last few years. You're buying for future potential, but you're actually buying on actuals, and that's coming back. But if you read his book, and he's going to be on the Jake and Gino show in a couple of weeks. It'll post, but phenomenal book. If you're looking to, he talks about, you were talking about VCs, venture capitalists, the basic, strength of buying a business. You have a 98% chance of actually succeeding when you buy an already business. A startup is like 10%. And I think venture capital is maybe 40%. So for those of you out there thinking of starting on your own and being dumb like Jake and Gino and grinding it out and doing multiple, don't do that. Go find a business that's already working. Find the inefficiencies there, or like a 20 unit. You got a mom and pop. This is the same concept. And I love his book. Very simple. You can use it to buy a business or even to start scaling up and buying real estate.
Well, that's like also the Charlie Munger thing, Gino, where if you like stay in a business long enough, over time, you're going to become really successful at it. And I'm so fortunate that we stumbled upon multifamily because, you know, we speak to these guys that own businesses, big tax payments every year. So we make a good amount of money and very happy with that and proud of it. But then we get these amazing tax benefits as real estate professionals. And it's the same business over and over. So it's an acquisition model where you already know how to do it. You go acquire it, put the same systems into place. You're not reinventing the wheel, and then you're getting more tax benefits. So it's literally that's kind of boring, guys, right? It's like there's no, and that's the way I want it. I'll get the flair in my personal life. Let's keep the business as boring as humanly possible and profitable.
Yeah, it's a great comparison though, because you know, the leverage buyout model is the real estate model. You just replace company with building, and that, you know, we
get a shit ton more tax benefits.
And we get a lot more leverage, and we get a lot more tax benefits, and you know,
and you have an actual asset, not just a business, right?
Yeah.
You have a physical asset that's worth you know, real money. So yeah.
So the other thing I wanted to say, the hockey stick graph that you're kind of talking about, where, you know, it's flatline, people don't stay in for a long enough time, and how many times you have these 10, 15 year overnight successes where, you know, if you just hung in there, you know, that's when it kicked off. I really like. And what I wanted to ask you guys was, you know,
stay with that for a second, because I'm gonna pull it up right now. So in year like, you know, we're going through where we are right now. In year 8, our top line revenue triples with our 20% year over year model. Think about that shit. I just pulled it up right now.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah,
like
that's unreal.
That's true. And I feel like we're already riding the stick up.
Yeah.
Right. So, and
if you had stopped, I'm sure there was headwinds at, you know,
every
a bunch
step
of times
of the way
before that, where you could have went, you know what?
That's me getting gut punched.
Fire up the oven.
Yes.
Yeah. But
so, I mean, it's being into it for a while, but you know, that's the next decade shit right there.
So I want to talk to you guys about the, because you guys are a great model of, like, you guys are at thousands of units now. Everybody starts somewhere, and you guys know online, so many gurus, so many different stories. People just kind of throw it a number in terms of, you know, what they're doing and what they're buying. What I'm curious about is, number one, the move from New York. And the reason I love the States, number one, and, you know, I'm proud Canadian, but I love the fact that the States, you can go to different states. There's different laws. There's different, you know what I mean? Where Canada is relatively monolithic when it comes to kind of landlord tenant.
It's the best thing.
So I'm curious, from going to New York to kind of, you know, getting the business moving in different states and actually growing it to where it is today, like that process, I mean, like you're just saying right now, it wasn't until year 8 where you start tripling. What was that process like, and how much did it have to do with different geographies and investing in different states?
I'll let Jake answer that, but what I'll do is I'll answer the mindset piece of it, because when we started buying real estate, we were just buying real estate. We didn't think of it as a business. We just wanted to buy a couple of deals, cash flow, a little bit of money. When we really took off is when we started really scaling up, creating systems, having a cadence of accountability, having core values, and actually looking at real estate as an entrepreneurial venture. You know, we say, Jake and Gino, we create multifamily entrepreneurs. It's about manage right. And all of a sudden you start buying these deals. Our first deal was a 25 unit. The next one was a 36 unit. Then the next one was 136 units. So you start wherever you can, whether it's a 2 unit, a 10 unit, just start and understand. You'll look back 5 years from now, you're like, I'm never going to buy another 5 unit property. That's fine. But that's part of the growth. And I think people want to start with that 100 unit. And it's really difficult. We do have students. I had a student who actually bought a 150 unit deal on his first deal, syndicated it, blew me away. I'm like, how'd you do that, bro? He just jumped in the deep end. But for the vast majority of us, we start out small and we don't see it as that business. Get your deals going, get that equity matriculating, and start, you know, trading up from that 25 to 36 to 136. Then we went back down to a 22. Then we went to a 281. So, I mean, that's the process I think about it. And as you're doing this, don't think about it as just an investment. It's really a business. And if you look at every asset that you own as a stream of cash flow and as a little cash machine, I think it'll change your paradigm of what real estate and what this multifamily business can provide for you.
Yeah, no, it's a great point, you know, and stay in it long enough, right? Don't quit. I think that's one of the best things that we've ever done. Even from our first 2 years trying to buy a deal, we didn't quit. We've hung in there long enough to get one, and then that happened. So let's talk about the move from New York to Tennessee. This is the most beautiful thing about America. There's multiple states with different laws, different benefits to each one of them, and you need to be able to sit back as a consumer and vote with your feet. So if you don't like what's happening in one state, you can go buy something else, and you buy that with moving, and it's okay. And the best thing that I ever did, except for hooking up with the G-Dad, was moving to Tennessee. So I said, all right, I'm out of here. I want some better things. So all I did was I sorted by state income tax. I wanted 0 state income tax. I wanted better weather, and I wanted lower property taxes. It was very simple. And what started showing up was I was like, oh, Northern Florida is interesting. Tennessee is interesting. Tennessee was closer to New York. The weather was a little bit milder, but still really nice. And there was actually a job opening at the time with the organization that I was with. My wife was like, "You're nuts. This ain't happening. Nobody leaves New York. New York, hey, New York's great, right?" Like that was the mentality. Yeah. This is going back to 2011. And I said, "What's the worst thing that could happen? Let me go first. If it doesn't work out, I move back." And she was finishing up a degree at the time. And I said, and what's the worst thing that happened? We moved back, but at least we tried it. And that was my sales pitch to her. And I actually, she actually went for it. So we went down and I had people telling me, oh, they're going to get you one way or another. That's BS. It's all the same. Like, I'm like, it's not communism. Like, I don't know that that's the case. So went down there and it really, things started to like open up. Like, I was like, wow, this the weather's great. The cost of living in, like my first house I bought when I was in Tennessee, it was like 4,000 square feet, had a movie theater in it, in-ground pool, sick garden in the back, koi pond. Like I thought I hit gold. And at the time it was 400 grand. Brick. I mean, it was sick. Like I thought I hit
taxes was like $1,500. His property
taxes were $1,500.
His taxes were cheaper than my insurance. I'm like, bro, come on. I paid $1,500 a month in taxes. He's paying a year.
Great. This was a great school. Like everything was great. And I went from literally in New York in a 1-bedroom apartment for like $950 a month, and it wasn't the best area, to this, and I think my all in was like maybe $1,800 a month. Paying for that? Yeah. Are you kidding me? Like, dude, so there's that pickup, and then all of a sudden we start looking into buying assets and things, and that's when it just took off. So I really do encourage people, if you're gonna go buy a car, you're looking at miles per gallon, you're looking at style. Maybe you're more of like a Mercedes than a Honda. You're looking at the seats. You're looking at all this stuff. Maybe you're like more of an SUV person than a sedan. Do the same thing when you're shopping states. Go out there, find out who's going to give you the best offer, and get your butt there, because it's going to make a huge difference in your life. And that's what we did. And ultimately, the rest is history. Could I have done what we have accomplished in Tennessee and New York? The answer is hell no. Yeah. Hell no. I won't even do business in New York. Those people are nuts. I don't even go back unless it's in the middle of summer. And
you were one of those people, bro.
Those people.
I won't even. You people.
Hey, I was born a New Yorker. I don't identify as one. There's some great folks in New York. Listen, I love New York. Love the pizza in New York. Love visiting New York.
Yeah.
Just choose to live elsewhere for the reasons that I listed there.
Yeah. I think on that point too, it's like, first of all, 100% shout out to New York. I did American Thanksgiving at my family's place in Massapequa last year, and it's
Is there anything but an American Thanksgiving?
That's a great point. Eh?
Well, he's Italian, so Italians, we don't really eat turkey. We have the manicotti, we have the soup, we have everything but the turkey.
I had my aunt apologizing that there's corn, and I know it's not traditional. I'm like, traditional for who? But no, like what I was.
Did you dress up as a pilgrim?
Yeah.
Nice.
The thing though, your point though, even as a Canadian buying in Florida, first of all, the fact that there's no state tax is just like, wait, what do you mean no tax? They're like, no, there isn't tax. I'm like, I think something's incorrect, but I could never, not in a million years, be able to purchase what I purchased down there in downtown Toronto. It just doesn't exist. Like
and Florida's hot right now.
Yeah. And like the fact that you're still having properties that cover at even 7%, interest rates is a testament to the yield that's still down there. But in terms of I just want to be mindful of the time, but in terms of where we are today, we've talked about, the last couple of years, even before the show, that it's been 3 years since we last spoke. A lot has happened since then. Are you guys doing anything different in how you approach deals? Or more selective, more conservative, less conservative? What are your thoughts on that?
No, I appreciate you bringing that up, because ultimately we've preached from the beginning fixed rate financing. And we haven't veered. We haven't done bridge loans. And we wrote about it in our 2015 book, Wheelbarrow Profits, where we talk about our finance right strategy. And what we're looking to do is buy and hold for the long term and take the rate risk off the table as much as possible, meaning fluctuation. If we can buy it and the rate is fixed and maybe it's 4.8 or 5%, or even today it's 6%, whatever, and we can make that work, great. And we'll lock it up for 10 years. We're okay with that because we want to own and hold these things for the long term and pay down the debt. The folks that get caught in real estate are the guys that over-lever. They don't suspect some, catastrophe to happen in the future. Boom, it hits. They get caught and they're screwed. Okay, 9/11. You go back to 08. You go to COVID. I'm sure there was something that happened in between there that I'm missing at this point. But gang, the norm is shit happens every 5 years now. So, and maybe that's always been history, but it's been my experience in my lifetime. So don't over-lever yourself. Wait for your pitch. Wait for a good deal. Follow the framework. It's not that complicated. Multifamily investing is not rocket science. You need to buy right. What do I mean by that? Have the right parameters in place to purchase a deal that's going to work for you. Managing right. Have the right KPIs. Have the right management strategies in place. And gang, we share this stuff with you openly. We don't need to get secretive about this. What we do in our education is we work on the implementation with you so you can make this stuff work because we've been through it time and time again. And then when it comes to financing, that's one of the biggest components. Get that debt fluctuation, that rate risk off the table. You don't need to worry about it when, oh my God, it's going to jump on me. And that's the shit that'll keep you up at night. We looked at deals that only worked with bridge debt in 2022. Yeah. I said, no, we're not. They
were stabilized deals too.
Stabilized deals on bridge debt. So to answer your question more directly, we slowed down in 21 and 22 because we buy with our own capital, right? We love syndications. We've done syndications, but our bread and butter is to go in with our money and buy a deal. And if we can't make a deal work by doing that, we're going to be patient. So I don't know, how many units did we buy last year, Gino?
We bought four or five little deals, 40 unit, 21 unit.
Was it like 200 or was it 100? I don't even remember.
About 200 units we bought.
Okay. And so far this year in the first quarter, we've already bought 200 units. It's like 210 or something like that. And so, and the reason for that is because, yes, our debt is 5.9 or 6% right now, but the price per unit on these deals have come down. They're 2000 vintage. And I believe that because what we're seeing right now with the refis that we're doing with Fannie, high fours, like 4.9, if I wait another 2 years, it would be great. I don't know if it's going to be the case, but it works at 6 now. Hopefully I'll be walking into 4.5%, 5% debt in 2 years after I've renovated these things. Set them up, get them. I'm on fixed rate debt right now. Then I'll refi a 10-year term. And that's what we do. Every 2 or 3 years, we got, some refis coming because we stagger them. And then we just keep adding to it because then what that also does is it gives you a refresh on your cost segregation, your depreciation schedule. So it's just a rinse and repeat strategy. We don't recreate the wheel. It's the same thing over and over again, but it stacks.
Jesse, what I would say is I would share some optimism because when Jake and I met, it was very similar to the market cycle we're in right now.
Yep.
We're exiting the seller's market cycle and we're going to a buyer's cycle. And when how can you tell? Well, deals aren't trading every 12 months, number one. Rates have gone up, number two.
30 offers to one.
Brokers are actually calling you back, right? And actually, some deals are actually making sense now. And oh, by the way, the last 2 deals we've done in the last 3 months both have seller financing. So those are all the components that I'm really optimistic where prices are starting to come down. And if you're a seller that has to sell, well, you can always buy real estate. That's the great thing in any market cycle. You can't always sell real estate. That's the problem that we're having right now. So for those of you out there waiting for the market to crash and you're serious about getting into multifamily, don't wait. The time is now. I mean, if you'd started 2 years ago, you'd have those broker relationships. You probably would have had a couple of investors in your back pocket. You probably would have had a couple of deals that wouldn't have made sense. But now, the next 12 to 24 months, you're going to see deal flow. People are going to, they're going to bust out of these bridge loans that are going from 3 to 9. They can't refi. They're going to have to sell. So there's
sellers getting out right now too. That's the thing. Sellers that are like a little bit older. They've held they're like, this is the end of it. I want out now.
Yes,
that's what we're picking up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you make a good point too, where some people say, well, Jake, that's easy. You just get fixed rate debt. It's like, yeah, say that when you have the fear of missing out, when it is, the time.
FOMO is a real thing.
Yeah, and people are like, man, are you being a good fiduciary? The fact that you're not getting this bridge loan at this time because these rates are going to be they've been down for the last 10 years. They're staying down, but you say no. We have a philosophy, and if that means that we have to be more conservative in certain times. For the
Jesse,
long term.
our bridge debt's a little different. We use loan to cost. So we do have a type of bridge with a community bank or credit union.
But it's fixed rate for 5 years.
It's a 5-year term. Yeah. So we're not going in there with a 36-month kind of thing. And then all of a sudden, and then to get out of that, those closing costs are ridiculous. They charge you, Jake, what was the credit union's closing costs? I mean, come on.
It was $1,000. It was a straight $1,000.
I mean, you go to Fannie, you're charging you a point on it's like $100,000 and a $10 million loan just to get out of it. Like, read the fine print. I mean, that's the problem. You look at these things, be careful what you're buying. So for us, the bridge debt is loans to cost right now. And community banks and credit unions have been great for the last couple of years.
It's also like the FOMO, the get there-itis. It's the same people telling me that I'm stupid. But it's the same people telling me I'm stupid that I don't have a mortgage on my house. And they're like, oh, that's millions of dollars you could put, towards more. I don't want to do that. It gives me peace of mind knowing it's done, it's taken care of. I don't have that to pay. I like non-recourse Fannie debt. Okay, that's the debt I'll choose to lever and use and we're doing a refi right now. We could lever to the teats, we're going 55% because we're sending out to Fannie and we're happy with it. And look, we're good. Okay, so I don't like over levering real estate because I think that's where people get caught, and we're playing for the long term, and that's the most important thing. That you don't force it, guys. It's gonna come, and if you're patient and you don't become a little piglet. So
I like it. All right, guys. Well, we're coming to the end of the show here. For listeners, aside from the obvious Google search of Jake and Gino, where can we send listeners, and what can we put in the show notes?
Jesse, every month we do a webinar, Jake and I. We just did one on finance, right? So if they go to jakeandgino.com/webinar, just sign up for the webinar. Watch the one the month before. And we're doing new topics. This month was the multi-financing. Last month was 3 pitfalls in buying. This month coming up in May, we're going to be doing something on Manage Right. So we're just sharing the stuff that we're doing. Like Jake said, the education's out there. When you're ready to take the next step, the implementation part, just go to jakeandgino.com/apply. Work with the team. See if we're a good fit. We're looking for people who are professionals, business owners. We're looking for people who are single family home owners, fix and flippers. And if you're a multifamily and you got some small units, you want to scale up, hit us up. Just go to jakeandgino.com/apply and apply to work with the team.
But wait, there's more.
Well,
the multifamily event of the year,
that's right.
The decade, Multifamily Mastery 6. Listen, November is 5th and 6th, Gino, or 4th and 5th?
It's October 14th and 15th, brother.
That was last year, October 14th and 15th. So check this out. We got it's an amazing event. We did over 1,200 people last year. We're going to do 1,500 this year. We had Vanilla Ice did this private party with Gino, and he was singing opera last year. But this year we got DJ Panda bringing the pain. Gino's going to be out there for the full stage, so it's not going to be secluded. It's going to be the whole main room. Gino bringing the pain. We got some really fun guests coming. I know we got Garrett Gunderson coming. We got Brad Lee. Gino, who else we got? We got
Chris Voss, Chad Wright,
Ross,
nice.
Phil McKernan.
Phil McKernan coming. So we got our team coming, speaking to the Manage Right perspective. So it is a class event, and I'm just super proud. Gaylord Palms in Orlando, Florida, October 14th and 15th, according to the G Daddy. So,
yeah, I hope so.
I just work here, folks. I'm going to be there one way or another. Okay, so give you a fist bump and do the damn thing.
My guests today have been former legal drug dealer and former pizza maker, Jake and Gino. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jesse.
Thanks, Jesse.